Welcome back, my friends. We have been building the card game called War for the YByte Python curriculum, available at www.ybyte.in. In fact, we are almost at the end of this game. We have built the entire game logic. It's been a fantastic journey because you learned a lot of concepts throughout this entire process. However, now we are at the very end of the game. We just have to figure out after the game is over, which means that after a certain number of rounds are over, or let's say, whatever criteria you use, how do we decide who's the winner? Well, the simple criteria that I'm going to use here is that I'm going to say, okay, look, whoever has more cards is the winner. But obviously, this need not be always this way. You can be more creative. For example, you might say that, okay, look, if there's a magic card. If one of you has those cards, then you win, right? But I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to say, okay, look, at the end of this all, I come here to my code at the end of all of this. Now, this is very important. Notice I must be out of both the loops. Remember the inner loop and outer loop? I must be out of that, and I'm making sure that happens by just going back to the base indentation. Because remember, the indentation determines where the while loop gets over. So both of them must get over. Then I can just write maybe a couple of print statements here, just some empty prints. And I say, okay, look, the game is over. So I say if say len of player cards is say greater than say len of compute cards, if that happens, well, then I can say print say player one. Elif, if let's say the reverse of this happens, so I just take this, maybe I can just take the same statement and say control V over here. I just call it elif. Let's say uh, if the reverse of this happens, which means the length of player cards is less than length of compute cards, well, we can say, so if the reverse happens, then we can say the computer one on, if let's say neither of this is true, which means both of them have equal card, we can just say print, let's say game, uh, say game drawn. Now, like I said, you can always enhance this. You can have a more fancy winning criteria, just describe it nicely. But for us, this is just fine. Now, my game was being played till 100 moves because previously I was trying to get certain conditions. I'm just going to say, let it happen to 10 moves and I should see the outcome quite quickly. So when I run this, for example, so player wins first time, player wins again, looks like player is really winning this. Player wins, computer wins, player wins, player wins, player wins, computer wins. Player ends up with 30 cards, computer ends up with 22 cards, table cards are 0, and clearly player has then won this game. Now, we can make a simple change to our program. Instead of using, for example, inside these two if statements, instead of using, let me just click on this and also click on this. Instead of using this input, we can do, let's say, time dot say sleep, maybe say 1 second. And I can do the same thing over here, say time dot sleep, say 1 second. But obviously, to be able to use this, I must go and import, say, time. Now, the benefit of doing this would be that, this game will basically kind of work on its own, right? I mean, I won't have to click these enters, and we can see that now, right? So when I run this, notice the game kind of starts running by itself. Whatever is happening in the game, of course, is being printed, is being reported. So if I slow this down, I can read, and we have already made sure all of this is correct. It turns out both of them had 26 cards, and the game is drawn. So let's just do it once again. Let's see what happens. In this case, there was some war and all that happened in between. The player won because player ended with 34 cards, computer has 18 cards. And I hope this gives you an idea that, the game can be determined this way. Now, the way we end the game, the way the winner is decided, all of that, is a lot of room for creativity. So use your ideas and make it interesting. But this journey has been absolutely phenomenal. We started with, let's say, creating the deck of cards. We started with dealing those cards as slicing. Then we created these lists from which we were, adding items, deleting items, and so on and so forth. We looked at the difference between append and extend. We looked at how to delete items from a list. We looked at how this entire logic is working, understood each and every number in there. And here we are, completing this game right now. Obviously, enhancements can be many, and we must think about those. Once the basics are through, we must think about those. But I hope this has been an interesting, fulfilling journey for you. In general, if you think that this way of learning is fun, it makes you think better, it makes you understand better, do look at our website because we have many, many, many such activities. Take care. Thank you so much. Enjoy programming.